Hello world, welcome or welcome back. I'm Goddess Dawn. It's Friday night, September 6, 2019, and I'm here today for a tarot reading with Michael Jackson. I am honored that he chose me. He's actually been singing in my ear for the past couple weeks. I grew up listening to Michael Jackson, and I'm going to do my best to be open and honest and true as we communicate via tarot with the Goddess deck first, and blessings have been administered. We're cleansed and we're ready. I went ahead and I did a meditation. Was very, I guess you could say, interesting. I'm just going to read it verbatim, and it was, this is just what comes through when I do meditations. If you've watched any of my previous readings, this is the process for me. Prayer, meditation first, and then the cards. So the meditation went as follows. Imagine in Michael's voice, if you will. The music industry is rife with child sacrifice, whether through sex or other abuse, even death by murder. Some have children only to eventually kill them. My way was not that way. I was a nurturer, a protector. Never did I violate one child. Never. I may have gotten too close. The way people think about adults and children, I may have gotten too close. But I never violated. He says they want to kill my name and my legacy. They are spiteful, greedy demons. They took everything from me, my life, and now even my dignity after I've gone. It happens because it's done to us first. Our innocence is taken. What saves our lives is our talent, but they take that too. We are worth more dead than alive. But I am no R. Kelly. He was ravaged by demons. He couldn't survive it. And then he laughs at the word survive. He left his body long ago, but that's not my story to tell. I want my family and my friends to know that I am innocent of what they say of me. Ask more questions. Let my music speak for me. The music was a gift and a curse, but it's all I had. It's what kept me alive in the long run. Thank you for doing this. Now the cards, please. So that was the meditation. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. He says he's innocent of what they're accusing him of. Him saying that he may have gotten too close. What I was getting from that is that physically, as far as, the sleepovers and things like that, and maybe there was touching, maybe even caressing in a loving way, but not in a way of violating. He's adamant about not having violated. So I wanted to make sure that I got his message out there. This is what he wanted from me. So I'm just helping him out. So we'll move on to the cards as he asked. Let's see what he wants us to know.
Shuffle. Okay. Michael Jackson, what do you want us to know? What do you want us to know?
if we're gonna make good with these. Let's see. So much to say. He's trying to talk to all of his family. He says, I have a lot of family. Okay, I think that's it for now. Something just fell. Need this. Okay. So let's see what we get here. All right, so the first card that we pulled here is the Four of Pentacles. Then we have the Nine of Pentacles, Five of Swords, and the Fortune card, which is reversed. So let's see what we got. Okay, so the Four of Pentacles, this card represents wealth, and it could be in the way of money or talent or both, but it definitely represents prosperity and making money off of something like a talent. So I think this is just confirming that we're speaking with Michael. And the Nine of Pentacles, this just represents the pleasure and the luxury that comes with that material wealth that the Four of Pentacles represents. So this is just compounding the wealth that is accumulated here. Then we have the Five of Swords, which represents a difficult situation and something that could mean defeat. So someone who is defeated or, possibly ended by way of whether it's life altogether, lifestyle, but something here just represents that an event occurred that represented struggle, discomfort, a problem. Okay, so everything is going good. Got the Four of Pentacles representing talent and wealth, prosperity. Everything's great. We got the Nine of Pentacles, which just even compounds that wealth even more. So that just to me represents the superstardom of Michael Jackson. And then we have the Five of Swords that comes in to represent struggle, discomfort, problems, basically more money, more problems, and possible defeat is what this card represents. Okay, but it does to show the swords are in hand in case the other ones break or whatever. We have backup, but this person is fighting for their life. Okay. And then the next card is the Fortune card, but I believe it was reversed. So the Fortune card, right side up, means the generosity of the universe, just like it says, fortune and beauty, love, all the good things that life has to offer. But this card came reversed, and it has a different meaning when it's reversed. And the reversed meaning of this card is pessimistic, disappointed, unexpected endings or beginnings. So I think here it's safe to say this could represent the problems that he was having right before he died. He was fighting all types of lawsuits prior to the lawsuit. I think he was battling Sony regarding his music and things like that. And then before that were the child porn allegations. He had to go to court, and he even expressed afterward how humiliated he was because of that. I believe they even had to look at his genitals to identify birthmarks or moles or whatever, and he was mortified by this. So I believe this is the stage we're at here, and we'll keep going. We've got a lot of cards to go through. All right, so the next card that we pulled here is the Prince of Swords. As you see, we got a lot of swords, a lot of fighting and battles. So the Prince of Swords represents someone who comes in with some news that brings sense to a situation, someone who has the ability to create influence. I believe this is the attorney that represented him, Tom Mesro, and this is the attorney that it's rumored that R. Kelly is trying to secure right now. But I believe this card represents him, but we'll keep going because I could be wrong. I'm just revealing everything and reading things as they're coming about, as you see it before you. So bear with me. Card following this is the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles. This card represents waiting for things to come in, money, relationship. It's like you know these things are coming or they're in your reach, but you don't quite have them the way you would want them. So this card represents expectations of these rewards. And it also is just like a limbo period, I guess you could say. Next on deck is the Transformation card. This card, transformation, usually represents a death of something. Not necessarily a literal death, but it's, letting something die so that something new can come. So it could be having to do with relationships. It could have to do with even his music, letting go of some people or some entities or powers, starting anew, that type of thing. So this is definitely a period of change. The next is the Princess of Staves. Princess of Staves, it typically represents a female energy, but it could also just represent creativity itself. But this card represents a renewed creativity and a renewed energy, integrity. It's kind of like a new lease on life type of thing. So the card before this, the Transformation card, represented letting something or someone or things die so that you could start anew. And this card represents a renewal. So it's like he had a new burst of energy, a new burst of creativity, maybe a new album. Something came after all the fighting, all the court stuff. He had to let a lot of things fall away from there. Maybe he learned some people weren't really who he thought they were also. So this card, the Princess of Staves, represents renewal. We'll leave it at just renewal. But then we have the Queen of Cups that came up, and it did come up reversed, which is typically the negative of the card. Okay, I had a little technical difficulty that cut off the recording, so I'm going to pick back up, but I'm hoping I'm not missing anything. So hopefully we already covered the Prince of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, Transformation, Princess of Staves, and the Queen of Cups, and basically just saying that the lawyer has come in here, Tom Mesro. I'm assuming that who this is representing, someone who came in and made sense of a situation that was troubling him, and he has a sword. He's fighting for him. So then we have waiting for rewards to come in, relationship, money, those type of things. So he's kind of in a limbo period, and I'm thinking because after that whole trial situation, things might have stalled for him musically, could have been creatively, could have been business-wise, or both. And then the Transformation card represents, letting something or someone or things die so that you can make room for the new. And then we have a Princess of Staves, which is the renewal card. Renewal of creativity, renewal of business, energy, that type of thing. Could be inspiration. And then the Queen of Cups, which was actually reversed, which said, this actually represents an older woman who is emotional, or can't control her emotions, and unhappy, and just doesn't know how to handle things. And this could be his mother. And then because we also then have the Sun card come up, and the Sun card, this card typically represents children. It could represent a parent-child relationship. So the mother card came up. This could be the relationship with his mother. It could also represent his relationship with children, because this does represent children for the most part. Following that is the Four of Swords, and this card represents protection, needing to self-protect, needing to go within and do some introspection. It's a need for caution also is what this represents. So being that it's following the child card, I'm not sure if this still revolves around those allegations. The next card that comes up is the Power card. And this card does represent what it says. Power represents someone who has power, who knows how to use their power, when to use it, and they definitely use it for their benefit. This could have to do with, like I said, that case. Maybe he used his power and influence to, make things go away or make things quiet down, and continue working. So let's see. Next card is the Nine of Cups. This card represents satisfaction, contentment. It's also a wish card, meaning that you can make things happen for yourself. So in this position, he is happy and content with where things are. He's able to continue to do what he loves. It also represents hope for the future. So where he may not have had hope previously, it's been renewed and restored to an extent. We have the King of Staves next, and looks like it was reversed. And in the reversed position, in the regular position, it means regal, expansive, energizing, the epitome of the sun's power, which is extremely powerful. But because it was reversed, it actually means that despite these qualities, that he was unable to harness these forces. So he was trying to use his power and influence to get something done. It wasn't working. And it also represents that the lack of support, and just being stuck, basically. Okay, and then following that we have the Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles does represent business success. So despite the fact that he was stuck in this struggle, he still had success. So this to me represents his fame and his popularity, and even his creativity never waned, but there were things going on behind the scenes. Business-wise, I think it was made public. I remember a period of time where I heard about lawsuits, and there was a concert that he was getting ready to launch when he was killed. And I know there were problems when it came to that deal. So the next card we have is the Wisdom card. This card does represent what it says, wisdom, having gained wisdom, and by living. And it also represents an interest in spiritual knowledge, whether it be religion, prayer by itself, seeking out a guru of some type, or having a teacher, or even teaching himself. But it definitely has to do with spirituality and tapping into that. So at this stage, maybe the frustration he was experiencing here, kind of trapped in his fame and not being able to use his influence to get things done the way he wanted. Wisdom was gained with all of the things that had happened up to this point. Following that is the Judgment card. This card represents time for change, time for a major change, a major necessary change that usually scares people because it will cause a disruption in their lives. So it's interesting that this card follows the Wisdom card, the spiritual teachings. Maybe he had gotten some enlightenment and decided or realized that there's needed to be some changes in his life, and this card represents that. And then next we have the Six of Swords, and this card does represent new knowledge that helps one to move on, and lessening of difficulties, travel. So following the spiritual teachings, and then the decision or the realization of needing to change things in his life. Following that, there was kind of, I guess, a rainbow after the storm, and there's some peace, and some of his challenges have been lifted, although not all the way. I think it does speak to having these spiritual teachings and releasing some burdens, or making some changes and opening up room to travel and do some things beyond the limitations he was facing. So we have a little bit of a reprieve right here, and we'll see what's next. The Two of Staves. The Two of Staves, this card represents the beginnings of a business venture, a possible partnership, new ideas that transform lives and bring inspiration and energize people. So this card could actually represent the concert that I mentioned. I think it was called This Is It, which is actually ironic because This Is It sounds like this is the end. But this is what this card represents. So there's some new energetic business happenings going on, and we're going to see what was following that. And it's the World card, but it is reversed. In its regular state, this card, represents experiencing a connection with the universe and a sense of expansion and hope and awareness, in a sense of knowing how important balance is in life and appreciating the things that you have. But because it's reversed, it's actually a meaning desire for positive change through uncertainty, how to make it happen, and also a fear of expansion. So following this whole big energetic move or business expansion and things like that, there comes fear. So there was a fear that set in after this deal was made, or whatever this partnership is that came into play. And then the next card is the Star, and this card is also a reverse card. In its right state, this card represents following your dreams without fear, not being afraid of what happens, success, good fortune, all those good things. But it did come up reversed, and that changes the meaning, and that means now not following your bliss, insecurity, feelings of unworthiness. So whatever was going on with this partnership, and then the fear that had set in, it affected him in a way that hadn't come up before. So it sounds like this is a new thing he was dealing with, depression, of feeling not worthy. Then we have the Prince of Staves next. This card represents important communications, new ideas, but things that should be weighed according to practicality, not going all crazy, but making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and that whatever is happening makes sense. And that's what this card represents. Next we have the Ace of Swords. So this card actually represents clarity. It represents pure understanding and wisdom, and the ability to use or wield the sword to gain order, good judgment. So this card you know, represents someone who's clear about what's ahead and what they want and what they need to do to get it. Okay? And see what comes up next. And next is the Eight of Swords, and it does look reversed. In its right state, this card represents the inability to move, incapacitating depression, feeling victimized or even entrapped by others. But it was reversed. And in the reversed state, the meaning is obsession with problems to the detriment of others. This card represents someone that, or him, Michael, was obsessed with problems to the detriment of others, to the point where it was affecting other people, and that maybe it wasn't as bad as he made it, or he thought they were, or is, you know, that's what the card says. Let's keep going. Next we have the Five of Cups, and this card represents disappointment with an intimate relationship, disillusionment, sadness, concentrating on problems instead of assets, and the desire to move on. So this card says he was pretty much over something or someone, and he was done with whatever it is. So whether it's a relationship with someone, people, the partnership that he had established that he was having troubles with, it could have been that. The concert, I remember, like I said, the issues surrounding that last concert that he was set to tour in before he passed. So this card just represents the fact that he was over it all. And then the last card that was pulled is the King of Cups. And this card represents the ability to live one's ideals, combining artistic integrity with the needs of the marketplace. Somebody who symbolizes these things, somebody who, you know, is still able to pull a crowd, pull, you know, their talents together to do what they need to do to satisfy the masses. So what this says to me is, despite all of these struggles and hardships and things that he had to endure, at the end of the day, he's still the king. He's still, you know, at the end of it, he was still able to live his truth and be who he was supposed to be, as far as an artist goes. So to me, he's just saying, look, after everything and it was said and done, I was still able to be Michael Jackson. I was still on top. I was still the king. I am still the king. He's holding on to that fact. So let's see what else he might want to let us know. I'm going to set these aside. Shuffle these up once or twice here. I'm trying to creep back into the bowl. Okay. Let's do one more shuffle. What else do you want us to know, Michael? Is there anything else you would like for us to know with this deck? Okay. I don't know if that was meant. Is there any final word, any final message? I know a lot of people want to know if there was foul play. I think we already do know that there was foul play, because we had a conviction of the doctor who gave him the fentanyl. Is there anything else? Okay, we'll stop here. We have 3 cards. The Three of Cups, Nine of Swords, and the King of Swords. So let's start with the Three of Cups. Okay, this card represents peace between family generations, or between family in general. And this card represents unity. And it also involves celebration. Could be a wedding, but it's celebration involving women specifically. So not sure if, for me, what I'm getting from this and pertaining to Michael is that he wants peace within his family, and he wants peace among everyone, actually, including around his name. Okay, the next card is the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords represents problems that keep one awake, an issue that needs to be looked at closely, or a nagging anxiety. And I think that's referring to the peace that he is wishing here. All right, so after or while I was presenting this card, the battery died on the camera. So it's now the next day, Saturday, around noon, and I'm going to finish this up. Before I end this, I'm going to try another deck just to pull a couple cards, and then read the words that he gave me before starting again today. I did another meditation. He came through again and actually gave me some insight on these last cards, and gave me some words or information that he wanted me to share. So we'll be doing that before we wrap up. So we're going to talk about the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords represents insomnia and worries that keep one awake, things of that nature. He expressed to me this card represents Paris, his daughter, and he said all of his children, but specifically Paris. So, and then also made sure to let me know that this card represents his sisters. He wants his sisters to unify, and as well as with his daughter, but all the women in the family. He's very big on the support for his mom, and he wants everyone to be together. So the worry and the anxiety is for his daughter. And then the King of Swords, which is the last card that came up, represents his father. And this card does represent someone with a strong authority, someone who doesn't sugarcoat his words, and someone who has an incisive intellect. So he said this represents his father, and he gave me some more insight about that. I'm going to read it because I wrote it down. So regarding Joe, or Joseph Jackson, no father should outlive his son, but he was no typical father. He was a very harsh man, but that's who he was. He was built that way, and I understood that in time. He created my family, he and my mother, or he said he and mother, and for that he is a good man. We are not together. I do wish him well. I have no desire to return. He's itching to. By the time he does, it will be a different era, more struggle. Things or music was on the incline when I was coming up, but things are now declining, from the economy to the ecosystem. It's horrible what they have done. The greed. Come together and work through these things. The distractions will keep you from doing so. Off the grid is the only way. Boycott the people and companies doing damage. You are their lifeline. Cut them off. And then went on to say, I can't stay long, and then goodbye. So understand, Michael Jackson, he's being pulled in every direction. You know, he's obviously coming out of a lot of people's mouths, especially, with this last documentary that came out. I still haven't watched it. He says it's garbage, so we'll go with that. So that was those last cards there. Lots of concern for his family and such. I was going to pull from another deck, but he dismissed himself, so I'm not going to go there now. Maybe I'll do a part 2, but I guess I'll just go ahead and end it here. Someone had commented on one of my other readings that they wanted me to do like a summary afterward. What I do try to do as I go along is summarize as I go. So it's like, because they typically will tell a story from beginning to end with these cards at least. Usually it starts with like who they are or what represents them best, and then it goes on to speak on the whole journey up until the end. From what I got from the cards that were pulled, he basically let us know that, you know, he was gifted with talent. He was paid very well and given a very luxurious lifestyle for this talent. But that talent also brought about problems that throughout his lifetime, and in the end became to the point where he wanted to just let everything go and be done with it all. But if he were to do that, how would they make, you know, the most money they could off of him? It wouldn't be possible. So only within his death are they able to benefit from, you know, his profits, his career, his legacy. And he's very upset about what's going on with his name being still associated with these child pornography allegations. And he has been adamant about the fact that he is not guilty of any violence or violating against children. He said he did get close, maybe even some caressing, but that didn't come across as in a perverted. I'm seeing maybe, you know, strokes on the forehead, maybe across the lips. Okay, but not anything, any violent or I can't think of the word that was, I think that was the word that was used before, but I discussed it earlier in this video. So with that being said, I think he's wanting to make sure his family knows that he, you know, that he loves them. He wants them to be together and support his mother and in her fragile state. And you know, he acknowledges his father, and that his father was who he was, and that he appreciates him for having brought him to earth as well as his family, and creating that dynamic for him. Without him, he may not have been who he was as far as his talent and things like that. So he does not want to come back like Prince. When I did Prince's reading, even I think Biggie too, there were a couple of artists I covered previously with these tarots, and they wanted to come back and do it better, and you know, but Michael Jackson says no, I'm good. And you know, it was a lot for him to do that talent and the energy that's put out in order to produce not only the music but the art that behind the music, also the videos, the, you know, he was very artistic, and he was very thorough with it throughout his lifetime. So with that said, it was a lot for him, and he really doesn't have the desire to return with that same mission. So I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything that oh, let me just, I think that there's another message also. Yes, I didn't read the first part. There was another part of that second meditation. He says, and I'll end it with this. He says, tell everyone to be careful with people, places, and things. Just love each other. Take care of each other. You will need each other to survive what's coming. Brace yourselves. Peace be with you all. So, and with that, I already spoke on what he said about the ecosystem, you know, the economy. What he's saying is that we're coming upon hard times. This actually speaks to reading I did. I misspoke in my last video. I think it was the live that I did the other night, and I said that I did a tarot card reading on the year 2020. It was actually the year 2019, which is the year we're in now. And towards the end of the year, which is about now, is when things look like they were getting a little dark. But the reading, I think, went beyond 2019, which is why I said 2020, because it did go further. But things are looking grim. So that being said, we should take heed to Michael's advice, spread love, and work together and bond together in order to protect ourselves and our interests and our livelihoods, because those things are coming up to be at stake. So I think I'll end it here. I thank you so much for joining me. I think and appreciate Michael Jackson for coming through, and I have a long list of other souls that I would like to connect to. A lot of people have suggested other people also, so I will be trying to do more of these. And for those of you waiting on your personal reading, I am going to do that also today. So hopefully if you're waiting, you're going to get a message from me soon. But thanks for your patience. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe, like this video, comment if you will. Be nice though. And until next time, peace.